Hello there, welcome to another episode of the Allotment Dram. This is a series of short videos where we sit and talk about different whiskies, the surroundings of our North London allotment, and you join me here today on what has been a hot afternoon. I'm talking hot, 30, 31 degrees. Maybe not as hot as where some of you watch this in the world, but that's pretty hot for London. And there's not much shade up on the plots this time of the year, so yeah, it's been quite warm work. It basically watered everything, done one or two odd jobs, picked some more of the blackberries which are going strong, and will do for at least 2 or 3 more weeks by the look of it. It's absolutely heaving, that bush, with blackberries, sort of either ready or on their way. But while that's all very interesting, I'm sure you didn't tune in to hear about much of that at all, like the weather in North London or what is happening with blackberries. You of course tuned in to hear about a whisky, and what is the Allotment Dram today, I hear you ask. Well, it is brand new, and it's the Wireworks Bourbon Barrel. Now this is from the White Peak Distillery in Derbyshire, so English single malts, the first ever whisky distillery in the county of Derbyshire, and this came out about a month ago, I would say. So very, very exciting, because while they've had lots of sort of limited editions, they've done like small batch releases and so on, and won a lot of awards, actually, to be fair. They've done very, very well, but this is actually the second whisky in their core range. So they're starting to build up a core range now, and they released Caduro, which we enjoyed very much. That was just over a year ago or so, and now it's joined by Bourbon Barrel. So this is the first ever whisky that they've released from White Peak. That's been 100% ex-bourbon barrels, and they source them from the Heaven Hill Distillery in Kentucky. And this also is exciting because it contains some of the oldest spirit that they have. So the distillery was founded in 2017, and production started like early 2018, if I'm correct. And so some of the whiskey in the mix here is actually from that very sort of early time. So what can I tell you about White Peak if you're not sure, you've never heard of it? Well, it was founded, as I say, 2017 by Max and Claire Vaughan. They had no real distilling or whisky background other than being sort of interested in whisky. Max, for example, had worked in the city of London for many years, and decided to bring whisky making back to their home county of Derbyshire. And it's actually, the distillery is in Ambergate, which is right in the middle of the Peak District, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And they took some time, and they found an old cable and wire factory which had previously been owned by a company called Johnson and Nephew, and it had closed in like the late 1990s, early 2000s, I want to say. So it had been sat derelict for good almost 20 years, and so they built the distillery, renovated part of the building, and put the distillery in there. And some of the other buildings now form the warehousing as well. So very, very impressive. And the River Derwent actually runs sort of right past the front of the distillery. So if you're ever up in that part of the world, I urge you to go and pay them a visit. It's a very impressive setup indeed. But what else can I tell you about the Wireworks? And they call it Wireworks actually because of the old Johnson and Nephew, the cable and wire factory. So it's a little sort of reference, hat tip to the former use of the building. You can see there's a lovely sort of design on the bottle here, which then twists on the neck, very, very intricate, into, it's basically how they have separate strands and then twist it to become a cable like they used to do in the factory. So what else can I tell you about it? I always get sidetracked on these things. It's 53.5%. It's not chill filtered. It's natural colour, and it will cost you about £65 or so. So selected specialist retailers, and of course you can buy it directly from White Peak Distillery as well. So a huge thanks to the guys for sending me a bottle of this. Went to the launch about a month or so ago. Was very, very impressed. Yeah, I think we should probably have a go. We've just open the bottle for you here. I know some of you enjoy that. So let's see what we've got. Lovely. It's a very vibrant, bright, sort of pale lemon, sort of yellow, pale gold colour. Oh yes. Absolutely lovely. Very uplifting, vibrant, fresh. There's some sort of sweetness. There's like a honey, like a vanilla toffee, but some fruit as well. There's some green apple, and there's some white peach. That really fleshy, juicy white peach that you get sometimes. Very, very nice. Let's have a taste. Gosh, that's really luscious. Even at the 53.5%, I'd say that's quite dangerously easy drinking. That's really, really nice. It's got this lovely vibrancy. It's a very bright whiskey. All that green apple, that vanilla toffee, that honey, probably something slightly floral, like a heather honey. Maybe even a touch of manuka honey in there, very small touch. But then that juicy, fleshy white peach, absolutely lovely. And then there's some other fruit coming through, which getting like an apricot, almost like an apricot jam. And there's a bit of crisp green pear as well. Very, very nice. And all the time, there's just a little smokiness kind of just sitting underneath, because they took the decision, and it's quite brave actually, I think, to make their single malt in a lightly peated style. So there's not really anyone else, of the 50, just over 50 distilleries that are now in England that are now making whiskey. There's not many that are doing smoky style, and this is like very mildly sort of peaty and smoky. But to have that as your core spirit, rather than just something you do for like a small batch here and there, or once a year, but to do it all the time is very brave, I think, and it really pays dividends, because what it does, even though you've got obviously fairly young whiskies throughout, and then the same with a lot of the other like craft and artisan sort of English distilleries, you've got young spirits, but what the smoke does is it gives it an extra depth and complexity, and you can't really say that it's peaty and smoky like you can for an Islay whiskey, say. But what you can say is that it has this savoury element running all the way through that it's almost like a foundation that all the other notes build on. Let's have another taste. So this smoke is quite soft, it's quite gentle, again quite heathery, quite floral type of gentle sweet smoke. And then I'm now sort of later on I'm getting some milk chocolate and almost like a caramelized banana or something like that, where you cook banana and then you caramelize some sugar. Very, very nice indeed. So wow, yes, what a treat. I mean, to have, we loved the Kaduri, which is the first bottling in the range, in the core range. As I say, there's been several, probably more than several actually, of these small batch pushing the spirit in different directions. But the core range, we like the Kaduru. This is our type of whiskey. 100% bourbon barrel. We love that type of thing. So really, really nice, and just really complements the Kaduru very nicely. So it'll be interesting to see what else is coming down the track, because I'm sure there'll be a third or maybe a fourth whiskey in the core range too, from White Peak. And yeah, so that's probably really about it. I'm going to sort of just pack everything away now. I think I'm going to go and search out a nice cold beer somewhere on the way home, or a nice cold drink. But yes, from myself and the Wireworks Bourbon Barrel, we will bid you farewell, and hope to see you again for another Allotment Dram very soon. Cheers!